Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and great to have you along to another episode of Boxing Deep Dive show. And we've got a ripper show for you tonight. There's so much going on in the world of boxing, both in Australia and overseas. And we've obviously got the talking points and the quiz and all those things that we bring to the table every single week. I'm going to bring in my co-host for this week's episode. I'm speaking, of course, of Grant Tazzy Brown and Peter Maniatis. How are we, guys?
Good, thanks,
Great
Lyndon.
to be on the show. Tazzy and Lyndon.
Got a bit to go through. We'll get through tonight, but the main thing is I just want
Quiz
to make
hasn't
sure
started yet, Tazzy.
The
The
quiz.
quiz hasn't started yet. No shaping up till the quiz starts.
just want to make sure we're all on the level playing field tonight. We're all, ready to go, and there's no controversies. I think so. Pete, you won last week, didn't you?
A few questionable calls the other night, but anyway.
I'm sure you went to the video.
There's always controversy with a quiz. No, look, I'll be quite honest. Lyndon's probably one of the most fairest guys. He's got me on points of first names and stuff. He's strict. There's no way he's going to let us
No
pass.
last names.
He's very fair.
No
He's
last
very
names
fair,
only.
mate.
We need
Reminds
full
me of
answers.
Bill's Lane.
He runs a tight ship.
Well, guys, we've got a lot to get through. As I said at the start, world news, Aussie news. We've got a few talking points to talk about. There's so much going on at the moment, but especially at home, there's so much going on. There's been announcements pretty much seems like every second day there's a big announcement. We've obviously had, we've got the Cambosis event sort of percolating in the background there as well, which I'm sure will gather a lot of momentum over the next couple of weeks. But the main thing this week, guys, only obviously announced yesterday, is we have a new date for the Briedis Opetai fight. It's on July 2nd on the Gold Coast. Now, Pete, I think it's a good thing that... hang on, before I get to you, I'll let Jai have a
like
say.
I said, we've been training. We're still fit. Weight's still good. And then we got those last couple of weeks to get all the sharp sparring in. And, it's a proper camp. It's good to have a new date and, just focus straight on that date. We just want to make it into that ring. We've had so many ups and downs. And, throughout my career, I've had so many postponements and pullouts and stuff like that. And, I just want to get in that ring. I just want to get in there and do what I do. So, nothing, man. I just want to get in that ring and then, I'll do the rest. We just got to make sure we make it.
That was thanks to our friends at Before the Fight, Rob Schiff over there. We want to give him a mention, of course, for getting the vision. But
On you, Rob.
yeah,
Good
doing
work,
great
mate.
things at Before the Fight. Pete, so do you think it's obviously it was unavoidable with the injury, but do you think it's actually might have worked out to a little bit of benefit for Jai to have that little bit extra time to get ready and sort of know what he's in for?
Well, they're 1-1 because Briedis pulled out on Jai with COVID.
That's right, he did too.
He pulled out with a rib injury, so they're 1-1 with a pullout. Look, it's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, it's a big step up for Jai Opetai. He's fighting the best cruiserweight in the world. Let's make no mistake about that. But Mick Francis and all the team behind him are very confident, and he's on his home turf. And Briedis is 37. Nearly 38. So if Opetai is going to do it, this is his time. And they've got a terrific card. Faris Chevalier is fighting Conor Wallace on the card,
Nice.
over 10.
Yep.
And Joel Camilleri's rematching with Cohen Mazzillier over 10 as well. So and I think Hardman's on the card as well. So it's going to be a nice little stacked card.
Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it, Tazzy? Especially having, the other two fights are great in themselves, but to have Isaac Hardman jump straight back in there as well. It's good to see that he's jumped straight back on the horse.
Yeah, mate. I don't doubt Isaac Hardman one bit. He'll be straight back on it, mate. He'll probably knocking about another 6 or 7 blokes out in a row, mate. He stepped up and he'll be back bigger than better. But mate, you happy for Jai, mate? Look, he's the youngest Olympian Australia's ever had. He's a great boxer. I know his dad and his grandfather, Tapu and good old Billy Opetai. And look, it's always hard with postponements, as fighters, and you just got to stay the course and try and have faith and just keep your calm that it will happen. So I'm happy there's a new date. As Peter said, great undercard. Mate, Wallace versus Faris, that's a very, very good fight. It's a main event in itself. And, mate, look, I'm happy for Mick Francis, the Tasman team, and Dean Lonigan, mate. They're doing big things, and they're a very professional outfit.
Certainly are. And Pete, do you think we obviously all know the capabilities of Jai Opetai, but This is an unbelievable opportunity for him, isn't it? Because you said yourself, Briedis, I'm not sure whether he's really maybe done his homework on Opetai about how much of a challenge this is, because make no mistake, Jai Opetai can fight, is an awesome talent, and he's got a great opportunity to sneak under the guard there and maybe do what Jeff Horn and Cambosis and all have done in the past.
Yeah, and he'll be coming from winter, obviously, to Gold Coast. July, it's still pretty warm. The conditions will be in Jai Opetai's backyard. He's got everything that he needs that a promoter can offer. You're not going to his backyard and it's -10 or something, and you're unfamiliar circumstances. He's got everything the way he can do it, and we found out with Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao, if you bring them to your own backyard and you have a big day, you can shock the world, and this is what Jai Opetai is trying to do.
And Tazzy, there's Canelo's out there still talking about maybe going up to cruiserweight. Is there a possibility, maybe, if Jai Opetai pulls off the upset, that he could be in the line in a year or so or two to fight Canelo? You just never know.
Funny you say that, mate, because that possibly could happen. I mean, he's talking about fighting that sort of bit of an unknown African guy because he had a belt. I mean, if he wanted to do that, and there was a belt there, and Opetai is beating the lineal champion pretty much. Who knows? It very much could happen. I mean, yeah, boxing's a funny game, and you just never know what's going to happen in this sport.
Yeah, and Pete, before we move on, it's probably something you sort of get pushed back about even thinking about that. But you got to remember, Jai Opetai's got the same people behind him that brought Manny Pacquiao out here to fight Jeff Horn. So anything is possible. Lyndon,
you are a natural promoter. Let's push it back a bit. Let's wait for Jai to win the title first before we go. It's it's a question onto a question. The first question is let's land the title, then I think they can talk about it. I think without a title, it doesn't even exist. So,
yeah.
And it's not going to be, let's be honest, it's not a walk in the park. I mean, Jai Opetai starts out as an underdog, so he's going to have to pull an upset to win the fight.
Yeah.
He's not going in as a
Why
favorite.
doesn't he go up to heavyweight and fight Fury or Usyk? Could happen.
Who's that? Who?
If Opetai wins the world title, he might go up to heavyweight and fight Usyk. Never know.
Let's wait for him to win the title first, I think, before we make some.
I think we all just know Dean Lonergan well enough to know that he's already probably got that. He's probably already put the wheels in motion for that. But you just never know. But it's a great situation to be in just for Australian boxing as a whole. We've been through the George Cambosis thing. We're about to go through this one. We've had the girls winning world titles. It's just a really good time to be an Australian boxing fan at the moment. So whatever happens. But either way, as I said, great time to be an Aussie fan. Let's get on to the next part of the Aussie news this week. Sky Nicholson, Tazzy, went 3-0 in New York with a very impressive 6-round decision over Shanakwa, I think it was, Paisley Davis.
Mate, if you would have told her that one day you'll debut in, I think in Vegas or in America, and then go to England and fight in front of a massive show, then come back and fight at Madison Square Garden, she probably would never imagine it as a young girl. I mean, look, as we said last week, she's with Eddie Hearn, matchroom, she's with the best in the business. And she's fighting on these great shows. She's fighting in great cities, and she's active. She's moving along. She's third fight in only, 2 months. And, look, she's going to do great things. She's going to win a world title. She's a great boxer. She's, an Aussie girl, attractive girl, and she's living her dream. Simple as that. She's living her dream and any boxer's dream.
She certainly is. And Pete, as Tazzy said, 3 fights in only a couple of months, and they've all been on massive shows. So, she's obviously made the right decision, just like Ebony Bridges did, I suppose, going over with Eddie Hearn as well, because she's given herself such a massive legs up, to get into her into the next part of her career.
For sure. What a great family, what a great story, all the tragedy leading up to it with her brothers passing away. And she hasn't got one tattoo. I haven't seen one tattoo on her. I love that in a girl. Old school girl. She looks like the farmer's daughter.
Peter, I don't know about that, Peter. I seen you one night with a girl with a big sleeve. Next to I've had a teardrop under her eye at Hugo's Lounge. And she had these big fake implants and a big tat.
Is that the night I told you I'm taking you to Hollywood, Tassie, to be a
He said, I'm a
stuntman?
movie star. And he said, stick with me, I'm a movie star. And he said,
Movie
I'm
star or
Tom
stuntman?
Cruise.
How many drinks did I have?
You said, I'm Tom Cruise.
Nah, but the world's her oyster anyway. And as I said, she's given herself a massive leg up to get to that next phase of her career. And I've got no doubt, Pete, I reckon within, I suppose it depends on the whole Olympic thing. I know she wants to go there, and I know you're only allowed to have 10 fights, whether they fast track her or just let her sort of, have the 10 fights over the next couple of years. But she's wasted no time of getting her foot in the door, has she, with 3 fights in a couple of months.
Oh, it's been awesome. And how impressive is she? And how quickly is she coming to hand with this pro game? And the power's starting to kick in very early. The sky's the limit with Sky.
Yeah, no, certainly is.
Peter, she's got a great career, but back to the tattoo thing, a little bit of writing up the side of the legs a bit sexy, isn't it, Peter?
She hasn't got that though, has she?
No, not just on a female.
I
A
think she's
bit of writing just up.
Yeah, I mean,
going up the leg.
I think she's got that country girl look to her, and it's so appealing.
Very country girls, do you, Peter?
No, she's got a very good pedigree. Her Sky Nicholson, it's a great fighting family up there in Queensland. So I'm sure, and she's got the team behind her, that she'll go on to bigger and better things. So move on to the next point on the agenda here. Next Wednesday, we've got the big No Limit triple header. Next Wednesday night, Newcastle Entertainment Centre. So it should be a massive show. Tazzy, you'll be there, I'll be there. It'll be great to be ringside for what should be an awesome event.
Lyndon, I'm really rapt that you're going to be there. You only just told me that tonight. And me and Bo Belbin, my 5-0 boxer, soon to be 6-0, will be ringside complimentaries. Thank you to Glenn Jennings, my good friend, and Tim Zoo and Nikita's promoter and Shannon O'Connor's promoter. So we'll be there ringside, and it'll be great to see Nikita fight and Tim fight. We'll see to see Tim as well, my mate. Good to see Lake McFerrin, the Tassie boy, promoted twice, fight Harry Garside. I haven't got much interest in the main event, but I hope Gallen wins. I hope Nikita Zoo ices his opponent, and then I'm hoping my boy Bo Belbin get the shot against Nikita. So looking forward to going to Newcastle. I've got great memories of Newcastle. I was with Costa Zoo in '98 against Calvin Grove in his team. I'll be seeing my good friend Jeff Fenning and Johnny Lewis, my old trainers. So I'm going to be really happy up in Newcastle.
Yeah, it should be a ripper show, Pete. We've got we've also got Sam Goodman on the card. We've got Francis Chua up there, the removalist. Lynn Sandstrom should be a good fight, and Hassan Hamden, of course, who's trained by Jeff Fennick as well. So it looks like a ripping card, and it'll obviously be on main event TV from I think 7 o'clock next Wednesday.
Yeah, and look, just for people that don't follow card, but there's going to be a BM card on Saturday night with Peter Salasui and Benjamin Callagher.
Yeah,
that's a rematch.
Yeah.
I better keep my mouth shut and wait for you then, Lyndon. I thought you guys... no, look, this card looks good, and it's a good activity card for all the A-side boxers from No Limit. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the progression of Zoo, and also where Gallen's at, and, also where Garside's at, and how fast they're tracking them, because... Obviously, Tim Zoo won't be fighting here much from now on, and they're looking to move some pay-per-view cards, and they're going to be looking for new stars. That's simple as that.
Yeah, no. Well, speaking of Nikita Zoo, his opponent is Mason Smith. Let's just have a little bit of a look at what he brings to the table.
I think No Limit as well. It's going to be a good fight because, really it's probably a 50-50 fight. But when you look at it, he's been out for a long time. Don't get me wrong, he's talented. He's naturally talented as well. He's been in the amateurs for a long time previously. But we've been active. We're 5-0. He's 1-0. Really, it almost feels like we're going in as an underdog purely because of the hype around his name. The family name that he's walked into, whereas we've had to do it the harder way. I feel like they've underestimated us a little bit. I do. I think it is pretty ambitious from them, and it shows them that it shows the public that they want to take tough fights, which is good for Australian boxing.
I think Tazzy. I mean, you heard him say there that I think they've sort of underestimated. I don't think, from what anything I've seen or heard, that they've underestimated anybody. I think they've just said we want quality opponents, and Mason Smith falls in that category. So I don't buy the whole, well, they've chosen me, they've underestimated me sort of line. I just, as I said, I think Glenn and No Limit have just said, hey, let's get the most appropriate fighters for Nikita at this stage, and let's bring him along, and let's get a nice, tough, undefeated, hard opponent to get him going.
Well, as I said, we got the first phone call. My boy Bo Belbin, 5-0. We were the first option, but we couldn't come to agreement on money. I wanted a bit more. Obviously, being on TV, but it wasn't a main event then when I was negotiating. It was only on Fox Sports. They said, you're asking for main event money, this is only on Fox. Then it changed to main event. So, look, we got offered first. Mason Smith took the first deal. Good luck to him. And I love the Zoo family. I'm great friends with, as we know. But this is business. Once Nikita gets the job done, which I think he will, my boy Bo Belbin's there ready to go. He'll be 6-0. And, mate, he comes with bad intentions. And Bo's one guy that does not he does not care who you are, or he will just come to try and hurt you. He does not care or get intimidated. So, good luck to the whole guys. I'm tipping Zoo to win. And then hopefully we're next. And good luck to Leighton McFarren, my fellow Tasmanian.
Yeah, and Pete, I know we've spoken about Chris, I'm trying to pronounce his name here. How was it? It's Trzewski.
Trozanonsky. Trozanonsky.
Do you think Gallen's sort of done his homework on him, or he doesn't? You see the interviews, he doesn't seem too concerned about it. Do you think he actually knows what he's in for, or do you reckon Chris Trzewski, whatever his name is, can pull the upset?
Well, Gallen's getting big money. I think he probably thinks he's had a good look at him and he knows where he's at. He knows his level, and he probably thinks, for the money I'm getting, let's jump in and have a go. That's, I think, where he's putting it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Trozanensky's got nothing to lose, and it's going to be an interesting. Look, Gallen's a footballer that boxes, and he's a tough guy. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing special about him.
No,
I haven't seen much of Trozanensky, but if Trozanensky can have his night out, there's no reason why he can't win. But I just don't know what level he's at. I don't know enough about him.
Yeah.
I've seen him. He did lose one fight for the Australian title, and he got stopped in 6 or 7 rounds. Has he improved from that, or has he gone backwards? We don't know. I mean, there's question marks on him. I will just have to have a look.
Yeah, well, he's 10-1, so
I think it's a bit dangerous for Gallen. I think it's a risky. You can't sleep on him. I mean, he's a tall, rangy guy. It's probably going to be. Forget about the Hunt, Lucas Brown, and all that charades. Besides Justice Sweeney, it's got to be his best opponent. Besides Justice Sweeney.
Yeah.
So he's not a rugby player that can box a bit. He's not an ex-MMA guy. He's not a guy like Lucas Brown that was either past it or just didn't want to fucking fight. No disrespect to Big Daddy, but I mean, like, this, mate, it's a lively fight. I can't sleep on this guy. I'd probably put money on an upset, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one, but we'll obviously be able to report from.
I like Paul Gallen as a person, but I need to put money on an upset.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll be there at ringside, so we can report the whole
You'll
night.
You'll be doing Shoeys, Lyndon, Shoeys.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yep.
Lyndon doesn't do Shoeys. Lyndon's more the Zoolander type. Just his shots. You're getting some rippers done with that Olympic team.
Well, Peter, don't let me ever catch you with a girl with tattoos. I'm going to be watching you every event I'm at, every ring girl I see you next to. I'm going to be paying attention.
There's nothing wrong with girls with tattoos. Don't get me wrong about that. I just said she doesn't seem to have any, which is a bit old school.
No, I like it too, to be honest with you.
All right, well, let's move on. Good job with the poster there, whoever did it too. All the boys looking nice and tanned and photoshopped there, so that's job well done. Let's move on
Probably
to...
Brock Ellis.
Yeah, let's move on to this week's show. Pete, you mentioned earlier, it is the Ace Boxing event this Saturday night. It is Ben Kelleher and Peter Salsui. They only fought, I think, 2.5 months ago. Salsui got the win there, so it's a rematch this time round. On the undercard, there's not, you can see there, what do we got? The main ones Tate versus Matei for the Australian and Australasian lightweight titles, and Benjamin Hussein and Joel Pavlidis as well, as you can see there. So it's live on BN Sports, Pete. So Enzo DiCarlo up there doing great things, getting his own network, and doing great things.
I've been watching BN Sports. I've actually been watching the Milan Open. I saw Rafa Nadal play last night, and that's a great network, that is, and it's good now they've taken boxing on.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just below 506, about 509. It's just underneath ESPN on your charts if you're scrolling down on Foxtel. And they've got all types of sports on there, so it's good. There's a guy there on that undercard called Louis Masters. He fought a guy called Dane Elchin. I've never seen a guy, he's only had one corporate fight and one pro fight. I've never seen a guy with so much natural punching power than him. He's built like Mike Tyson.
He fights like Tyson.
He's just got unbelievable punching power. So put that in your black book. He's fighting Ella Silva, who's a very good fighter, and he's 3-1, I think. And I'm really looking forward to that fight. I think if Louis Masters hits him, I think he's going to stay hit. And I don't care who it is. I haven't seen a guy with that much punching power for a very long time. And getting to Salasui and Kelleher, it's going to be a terrific fight. Their last fight at MSAC on a Kings of Combat show, that was sensational. I mean, that was going to go either way. The major sponsor, Sean Buckley, gave them both $2,000 each after the fight, so they got a $4,000 bonus thrown in. It was a real cracking fight. It's going to be interesting how it goes in the rematch because, Salisbury won the first one and he won it. He just won it. But now that the rematch is back on Kelleher's home turf, it's going to be real interesting. It evens it right out.
Yeah, and Tazzy also on that undercard is a really good young talent. Vegas Larfield is one to watch too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good fighter, mate. I know his dad. Mate, yeah, look, he's a good prospect. And look, hats off again to Angelo DiCarlo. Mate, I spoke to him a few days ago. He's got all these shows lined up and he's keeping busy. And, mate, he's, Queensland boxing without Angelo DiCarlo wouldn't be existent. So, well done to Ace Boxing, Angelo DiCarlo. And, mate, keep putting on these great shows. And it's good that they're getting some TV time. And good luck to Salasui and Masters. I'm good friends with the stand-up fitness boys there. So good luck to you guys and bring back the wins.
So, yeah, live on BN Sports, 6 p.m. on Saturday night. So should be a ripper. Also on Saturday night and also in Queensland, Pete, a night to remember. Nissan Arena in Queensland, we have, I don't know how to pronounce it, ANTR or ANTR events. Apologies if I don't announce it properly. We can see there what a ripper card. Mateo Tapia, Nathaniel May, Jack Bowen, Jason Malia, ripper card.
Massive rap for Jack Bowen. Massive rap.
Yep.
He, and good to see Mateo Tapia back on. Pro Bellum's involved with that, and it's going to be a real nice card of boxing.
Let me tell you about this card. This card has all our dear friend and my brother Mike Altamura. Most of them are his fighters, linked up with Pro Bellum. Mike does a great job. He's got Jason Malia, who's looking to go 3-0, great amateur. Mateo Tapia, who's a beast. Nathaniel May, who's been with Mike since day one. And Jack Bowen, who's with Mike as well on Pro Bellum. So this show, Mike Altamura, you're an absolute beast of what you do. Good luck wherever you are in the world. I had a missed call from an hour ago. I will return it. And this should be a great night of young, up-and-coming stars.
Yeah, it should be. So Mateo Tapia's fighting Rolando Wesesla Mansilla for the WBA Oceania Super Middleweight title. Nathaniel May, great to have him back fighting Rivo Ring Kung over 8 rounds. Jack Bowen fighting Les Sherrington. Pete, they've rolled out Les again. I'm not sure I really like that fight, to be honest, because Jack Bowen could knock out a horse, I think, if you hit him right, and Les Sherrington hasn't really been around the mark for quite a few years. But Jay Somalia fighting Alfred Samuel over 6 rounds, and the Cameron Hands brothers, so Ben Cameron Hands and Sam Cameron Hands on there as well. So, yeah, it should be a really good night. I'm not sure whether it's being streamed or not. Do you know anything about that, Pete? Or?
No, I'm not sure if it has been streamed, but that is a terrific fight card, and well done, boys. Really, really happy for them.
Yeah, good stuff, and best of luck to him. So let's get on to the world news now. And, geez, we had a ripper weekend. Who would have thought that we'd have such an epic event with the women? We're talking, of course, of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Tazzy created history at Madison Square Garden. 19,000 screaming fans, Puerto Ricans and Irish and Americans, of course. But, I watched the fight live. I'm not sure whether you did, but just an unbelievable night, just not for women's boxing, but boxing in general.
No, 100%. I didn't watch it. I will watch it. Was it a fair decision, though, Lynn? I've heard some questions. Tell me your thoughts. Be honest.
I went over this on the Talking Boxing the other night. I actually thought it could have gone either way. I did give Katie Taylor the fight 96-94, so 6 rounds to 4. Having said that, there were a lot of close rounds. I thought Amanda Serrano dominated the middle rounds. Katie Taylor started well. Probably won 2 of the first 3 rounds, but once Amanda Serrano got going, and she almost had Katie Taylor out of there, and I thought she was gone. I really did. I thought it's only a matter of time, but inexplicably, Amanda Serrano took her foot off the gas for about 3 rounds, let Katie Taylor back into the fight. She finished strong, and I thought won the last round or 2, and I thought she won. But I wouldn't have had any problem at all with a draw or even a Serrano very narrow decision. That's how close it was. But I tell you, for me, probably the fight of the year, and that includes males as well.
Peter, your opinion?
I scored it a draw. I didn't think Katie Taylor won. So, either Serrano won or a draw.
Is that right?
I couldn't see. Yeah, I thought that's the way I scored it a draw. I scored it 5 rounds apiece.
It was a tough fight to score. It really was, wasn't it? Because as I said, I thought Katie won the first 2 rounds. I thought Serrano, I think maybe split the next 2 or 3 rounds or whatever it was. But then that 5th round is when Serrano had her gone. I think the 6th round she was okay. But then, as I said, for 3 rounds, she just went to sleep and let Katie Taylor back into the fight. Katie Taylor was gone. I thought she was, that 6th or 7th round, she was going to get her out of there. But ton of heart by Katie Taylor. But, I think Amanda Serrano really let that one go, I thought, in the end. Because she had, as I said, she had Katie Taylor gone. But as I said, Tazzy, just an awesome night for women's boxing. To see 19,000 people there, to see the crowd going nuts. Both fighters actually, when they're walking, you could see them looking around thinking, holy shit, did we do this? And the fight lived up to it. So they're talking about now the rematch being in Ireland at the end of the year, which will be just huge.
Huge. Wow. Yeah, mate. Eddie Hearn again. Hats off. Unbelievable.
So, Pete, the official scores were 96-94 for Taylor, 96-94 for Serrano, and 97-93 for Taylor. I don't know how even the most ardent Katie Taylor fans could have said she won 7 out of the 10 rounds, but it is what it is. But I'm with you, I'm probably the opposite to you a little bit. I didn't think Serrano maybe did enough to win, but I thought it was a draw or maybe a close Taylor fight. But having said that, I've got no arguments with you whatsoever because it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, it was one of those fights. I just can't wait for the rematch.
Yeah.
I just cannot wait for the rematch. This is the best fight I've seen all year.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Male or
I better
female.
watch it then, boys.
Nah, you should watch it, mate. It was an absolute war. Yeah, it was absolute war.
I couldn't believe it.
Nah, exactly.
I couldn't believe how both work.
Yeah, I just remember watching it, and as I said, you could see the looks on the girls' faces looking around the arena, and when the decision was announced, you could barely hear who won because the crowd just went crazy. And getting right away from do you like women's boxing or you don't, just as a boxing fan, it was just a great event. Having said that, I think in the rematch, I've got a feeling that might be harder in Ireland, but I've just got a feeling that Serrano will watch this tape back and go, holy shit, I had her on toast. why did I let her off the hook for those 2 or 3 rounds and let her back into the fight? Because that's what cost her in the end, and I'm not sure whether she makes the same mistake next time.
Well, let's wait. In Ireland, it's going to be a lot tougher though. The Irish people, they support their fighters. It's going to be a real pro-Irish crowd.
Yeah, it'll be great. I think it'll be awesome again, just for boxing in general. And I think even Eddie Hearn was at a loss for words after. It's just a pity he didn't get the $1 million off Jake Paul and give it to Katie Taylor. They weren't allowed to do that bet apparently, so not allowed to bet on their own promotion. So, but look, to both girls, hats off. Awesome event. Undercard was good as well. Beefy Smith on the undercard. Tazzy beat.
Let's talk about him for a second,
Yep.
Lyndon. Mate, this guy needs to be mentioned. Beefy Smith. Now, he was a world champion, the famous Smith family. Yeah, he lost to the great Canelo. But he beats kind of everyone else. Like, he lost a controversial loss in Russia. But he's just come off some big wins lately. This one again. Now, this guy is a player still in the division. Now, we say 154. We know who's there. Charles Castagne and Tim Zhu. We've got Bandura. But, mate, this guy could have went into journeyman status, but he didn't. This guy is still a dangerous fighter. He's a winner, and he deserves to be mentioned and respect, and gives anyone at 154 a tough night.
Yeah.
Beefy Smith, mate. I love it when a guy, because a lot of guys go wayside and become a journeyman. Nah. Beefy Smith is still there, and that Valdez talked a lot of shit like a typical American at the weigh-in, and he got knocked out. So, mate, good on him, Beefy Smith, mate, and good on English boxing.
Yeah, no, it was a great night, and you're right, Beefy Smith did look pretty good. Pete, on to the next fight of the weekend, Shakur Stevenson with a very easy decision over Oscar Valdez to unify the WBC and WBO super featherweight / junior lightweight world titles. It was a very impressive performance.
It was. I mean, where does Shakur Stevenson sit now? Because Valdez, I mean, at 130 was a premier guy he had to beat, and he did that pretty comfortably. We saw in the 6th round, Valdez was a little off balance. It was called a knockdown. It was more that he was off balance, caught in a bad spot and got knocked down. But he dominated the fight and won comfortably. I mean, he's in his early, 23, 24?
I think he's 5'7". Yeah.
He's 5'7", so he's got a bit of room to grow. I mean, does he move up the lightweight and challenge the big boys yet? Or do you wait? That's the thing you got to... I mean, you know, I'd love to see him in a fight with, say, Ryan Garcia to see how it would go. I mean, that would be interesting. That
kills him.
You know, that would be very interesting. You know, then there's obviously Cambosis, there's Devin Haney. I mean, you know, they're big guys. They're all 5'9", big, strong lightweights. I mean, this guy realistically could be the next star because, I mean, he was an outstanding amateur. He's with a great group in Top Rank that brought him along nicely. And he just looks the goods. And he's just getting better every fight. You just see the improvement. He's getting stronger, moving. It's going to be real interesting to see where he progresses because he's got all the talent in the world.
Yeah, he does. And Tazzy, looking at him, I don't think he'd have any problem at all going up to lightweight. He's got a really good frame to carry it, and I think he would have no issue at all. What do you think?
Can I have my platform?
Go for it.
This is the guy. This guy is the guy. Since Floyd Mayweather was retired, we're looking at guys. Is it Devin Haney? Is it Tank Davis? Is it this one? Is it that one? Ba-la-la-la-la-la, everyone! This guy is the guy. It's Shakur Stevenson. He is the future number 1 pound-for-pound fighter and star. As Peter said, he's the top rank, the best. He silver medal at the Olympics. He's a southpaw. He's got it all. He just beat the premier guy, Oscar Valdez, undefeated Olympian, 2 division world champion. He beat Belichick, who was the number 1. He was the lineal champ. He just beat him easy, which I predicted. Now, this guy is the guy. It's not Tank. I thought it was Tank. It's not Haney. I don't care if Haney beats George. It's still not the guy. I'm talking Mayweather style. This guy goes up and beats everyone at lightweight. He beats George, Haney, Loma, Tank, Garcia, anyone you can think of. This guy is the guy. You've heard it here from Tazzy Brown. Shakur Stevenson in 2 years will be the biggest thing in boxing. Woo!
Pete, do you think maybe, I mean, there's not a lot of fights left for him at junior lightweight or super featherweight. Do you think maybe Lomachenko could be coaxed back down to junior lightweight? Because he is pretty much fighting out of his division at the moment at lightweight, isn't he?
Yeah, that would be an interesting fight with Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko. That would be real interesting in both stages of their careers. I mean, they're both with top rank. That fight could get made.
Yeah.
And it'll be a real ripping fight. They've both got skills to burn. They've got everything. So that fight's there as well. There's a number of fights there now. I mean, he's probably going to have to move up to lightweight pretty soon. Though that's where everyone's at. And this guy's a superstar, and he's always been destined to be a superstar. So, when do they move him up now? Do they wait another year? I mean, either way, he's going to be going up. So, does he have another fight at 130 and then move up, or will they move him straight up now? Let's wait and see. But it's exciting that we've got.
As I said, I think Lomachenko is probably the only one they could maybe coax down to fight him. But apart from that, just move him up. Why wait? The big fights are at lightweight, so move him up. I think. Why, just get on with it.
He's 5'7". He's got a big frame. He's going to grow into it.
All right, well, this weekend, guys, is the big one. Canelo is back against Dimitri Bivol at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Now, Tazzy and I think you've been one of them as well. I think it was you that said that are actually giving Bivol a pretty good chance to cause the upset. What are your thoughts?
Wasn't me, mate.
Wasn't you?
Don't know who you were talking to. Wasn't me, Lyndon. Sorry, buddy.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think Canelo beats him quite convincingly, but still, there's a lot of people out there putting the money on Bivol. But yeah,
I'm going to say this: payday. You want payday. Canelo is the king. I predicted Shakur to one day be king. This guy's a current number one pound for pound fighter in the world, bar none. Not even a question. I'll slap you even if you speak of someone else's name. He's number one. He will beat this guy easy, even though the guy's a beast. He's Russian. I love Russia. He's big. He's bad. Canelo's a different level. He beats him. He beats Benadeev. He beats Joel Smith. If one's got the cruiserweight, he beats all them. He just can't go heavy. This guy is number one, bar none. Easy work.
Pete, what about you? Do you give Bivol a chance at all?
No, I saw Bivol fight Craig Richards. It was during the hub time. He had a hard time with Craig Richards. There's no way in the world he's going to beat Canelo. I mean, Canelo's next two fights are done.
Yeah.
He beats Bivol and he fights Triple G. He makes another 50, 60 million in the coffers. I mean, he's just living the dream at the moment. It's in slipstream. It's cruise control, and it just keeps rolling. Bivol gets his payday, and I'm sure he will align himself with some belt somewhere because Bivol's pretty good, but he's just not at that Canelo Alvarez level.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there's even talk that he wants to fight in England in December, and John Ryder has been put forward as maybe the one that they'll put him in with. So that would be interesting as well. For some...
Canelo?
Yeah, he wants to fight in England.
So, no more Triple G?
No, September. He wants to fight Canelo. He will fight Triple G in September. He wants to back up in December and fight John Ryder in England. Yep.
I love this guy.
He only did it a couple of years ago. He fought. I think he fought in September, then backed it up. I think he fought in December, then even again in like February or March. He had 3 or 4 really quick fights.
He fought the Turkish guy, then he fought Billy Joe.
Yeah.
Mate, don't you love Canelo, guys? Isn't he a throwback to the old fighters?
Yep.
He's a throwback.
He'll end up making more money. I said this 5 years ago to Rick Staley, the first trainer of Manny Pacquiao, and he kind of laughed at me. Canelo will make more money than any other boxer in the history of the sport. Yep. You can quote me on that. I said that 5 years ago. He's going to go for another 10 years. He could be the first fighter that grosses $1 billion. How's that?
And he's probably got 10 years in him because he doesn't take a lot of punishment. Probably like Floyd was. Doesn't
Peter,
take punishment.
It's not a bad call, Peter. I wouldn't even try and argue with you on that because that's a fair call, mate. This guy's got years ahead of him. He's a movie star. He is a movie star. Yeah. Canelo.
It's a brand to itself, as was Mayweather with the Money Team. The Canelo brand is just massive, and I'm with you guys. I think he's got
no
10 years.
No disrespect to Floyd. Floyd had to turn into an absolute sort of bit of an arsehole to get people to hate him.
Yeah,
he had to go he had to really be the bad guy, which I love that too. By the way, Canelo's just done it by being a great fighter,
like Manny Pacquiao did. Exactly the same.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about Manny. Yeah, that's right, Manny. I mean,
but
no disrespect, Peter.
But Pete, he has done it the same way. You know, with as Manny's done it. He's not afraid to fight the best. He's not afraid to go up and down in weight. It's all about for him is about legacy, and he fights often. So it's quite the comparison to make. He's in the Pacquiao mould.
Yeah, and there's no frills about him. They don't muck around at the weigh-ins. They just do what they have to do. They get in there. It's like Rafa Nadal in tennis. He just goes there, he does his job, and he's got the fans. The fans are loyal. He's got a massive fan base.
And apart from Triple G, who's probably the only one that he's shown any animosity to, everyone else, he shakes their hands, he gets the photos and all the rest of it and just gets on with the job. So that'll be good. And then after this one, of course, as I said, Triple G in September, and then maybe Ryder in December in England, which will be massive. You think they'd probably get 90 to 100,000 people to watch him fight Canelo fight Ryder. You'd think so.
Let's go to Gloucester, Lyndon.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Over. You're going back again. You're going back again, son.
All right, boys. Let's get on to the next segment. It is the talking points. So, always plenty going on in the boxing world to discuss. Get my camera back there so I'm visible again. We've got 3 talking points to get through. Canelo's obviously one of them, but we'll get on to our first one, guys. Tazzy, we spoke about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano before. Is it the start of something big for women's boxing? Is the event with 19,000 people I'm just asking the question, 1.5 million views on the night? Is it a bit of a false dawn, or could this be something big? I'm probably in the negative at the moment. I think there's still a long way to go, and just because you get a massive crowd for this one doesn't mean it's going to be ongoing, but does it open the doors for future mega women's fights?
Just because you might have got 100,000 at Justin Bieber concert doesn't mean you're going to get 100,000 at Delta Goodrum concert. Look, what happened the other day was great, but you had to have those 2 names there. Now, Katie Taylor, is an Irish superstar, Olympian, unify the belts. The other girl is huge as well. Doesn't mean any 2 girls can carry off. You need a dance partner, even with the males. You need a dance partner. So I'd say no. I wouldn't get too carried away with it. I hope it does, because I'm a big supporter. I promote women's boxing, as you know, Mousy Jacobs. But just because that happened doesn't mean, tell me another 2 girls that's going to do this.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Don't know. Unless Ebony Bridges gets a gear off again. Look, I've got respect to her too, good girl. But I'm just saying, I don't know, man. I'd say no. I'd say very positive, but I don't want to get too carried away yet.
Yeah, Pete, before I let you speak there, I suppose you're liking it to, 2019, they had the AFLW Grand Final in Adelaide. They got 53,000 people to the game, but it was free entry. So there's an asterisk there. Then when they started to charge, and it wasn't such a big event, I suppose, as big as that, they struggled to get sort of 8, 9, 10,000 people. So is that a similar way of thinking with this one, do you think? That just don't get too excited just yet?
Oh, look, I just think the way the world's progressing, females are sort of catching up in everything with males, whether it's golf, tennis, football, boxing. And it's rightly so. I mean, they perform. That fight was as good as any male fight we've seen.
It was.
So, yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, Ronda Rousey had that big pay-per-view. kind of platform with UFC, and that started for the females, and she was as big as any male superstar at the time. It just depends, but it's a good platform they've got at the moment. At least they've got it, and people are starting to take notice of them. Even the old school guys, I don't watch bloody women's boxing. I don't bloody watch women's
Still putting them out there.
Yeah, but those type of blokes, you're seeing people with one eye now. They're actually a little bit interested. So I think we're starting to do the crossover.
Yeah, and Tazzy, Pete hit it on the head there with Ronda Rousey. When she started to get going, I mean, at one stage, women weren't allowed to obviously fight in the UFC, and she came on board. Dana White obviously saw something in her. She ended up being the number one pay-per-view star in the sport and the highest paid athlete. So it's not impossible, but I'm with you. I think it's improbable at the moment, but who knows?
Ronda was massive at the time. She was doing movies. But it's a small window because where is she now? But look, at the time, she was big. She was as big as McGregor and all. But look, it's a small window for anyone. I hope women's boxing in general.
Yeah.
Boxing in general, male, women, anyone. I hope every fight's a massive platform because that means boxing's healthy. It means plenty of views, plenty of eyes on the sport. It means people are getting paid. It's just so hard to make money in this game, as we all know. And but look, it's definitely a positive step. Don't put it that way. And I hope it just keeps flowing.
Yeah, nah, for sure. So it's end of the day, as I said at the start, boxing was the winner, and hopefully it's a leg up for the girls, and they can go on. They'll get one more crack at it anyway at the end of the year when the rematch, and we'll see what happens after that. Let's go on to talking point number 2, Pete. Jake Paul, good or bad for boxing? Now, let me just preempt it first. What I mean by that is we see the good that he's done outside the sport. He was one of the key players in getting the Taylor-Serrano fight together. He's obviously bringing eyeballs to the sport, or bad for boxing because he pretty much brings a mockery to what he does inside the ropes. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it is what it is. I mean, I don't get caught into it. I don't look at the bad. I look at the good. At least he's bringing eyeballs that probably normally weren't boxing fans, and he's crossing them over from YouTube. So I take the good points out of it. And I mean, boxing's such a hard sport, and he didn't grow up with it. And for him just to jump in the ring and to beat UFC guys that have been in the sport for 15 years, I think he's a great athlete. So I'm not going to knock him.
What do you reckon, Tazzy? Good or bad for boxing?
As a boxing, like an old school boxing guy like me who is very old in his ways and in his thinking and very traditional in boxing, I don't like it. I don't like clowns like him being able to, fight on a platform that he didn't have to do at the hard yards by fighting the amateurs, fighting as a kid getting a trophy or having a pro career of fighting 4-rounders and selling tickets out the front for your fight so you make some money or you don't get paid for the promoter and doing the thing. But on the other side, I am a boxing promoter as well in the current era. So there's me as the old school guy. I hate it. Fuck him. Up, Jake Paul, I'll fight you tomorrow in the ring or on the street. But the guy is a promoter. I wish I had a Jake Paul that could sell and be this superstar. So the old me, the real me hates it. But the guy that's got to put up with his shit because I'm in the game, as you guys are, I guess it's good, isn't it? We wish we had him. We wish we promoted him.
Yeah.
So it's like that, Lyndon.
Yeah.
But really me, I don't like it. Any YouTube or Peter's fucking TikTokers, all a bunch of bums.
Yeah, I think...
We've got a TikTok account, Tazzy, under another name. We've got a private investigator account. You don't worry about that.
The way I see it, I think that he is good and bad for boxing. The good is that, as you guys said, he's bringing eyeballs to the sport. He's creating a little bit of... He's got everyone talking about it. He's making the fights happen like we saw the other day with Serrano and Taylor. But on the other side, I don't like that he's making our great sport into a bit of a mockery. I understand it's all about the dollars. I really liked the other day when Eddie Hearn put him in his place and said, mate, you're not a good fighter. You're not a world-class fighter. Don't kid yourself. You're not a good fighter. And I think they were talking about maybe Jake Paul fighting someone that's had under 10 fights from Hearn's stable that he would be prepared to put him in with. So for me, the jury's out as far as the boxing side goes because he hasn't fought an actual boxer yet. Until he does, well, how can we take him seriously? So just get my camera going back there again. It's in and out of focus there, Pete. Don't know what I'm doing there. There I am again. Hang on. There we go. Am I back? No? All right, we'll move on. I'll just continue to be blurry until it decides to correct itself. So that's Jake Paul. I've got to fix that. What is going on there? There we go. All right, talking point number 3. I can edit that out later. Number 3, this one's for you, first of all, Tazzy. Can Wait stop the Canelo train? Now, what I mean by that, a famous saying, famous horse, obviously, here in Australia, Farlap, they said, he was unstoppable, and they said that even Wait can stop a train, and they did. They weighed him down and weighed him down and weighed him down until he couldn't win. Will that happen with Canelo, or can he be stopped, or he can go right through up to heavyweight?
Can't go to heavyweight, but he can. Look, he beats the guys at light heavy. Look, there's some big punch. I mean, Bivol can punch. BDF can really punch and was a good amateur. But I think the way he fights, the pace he sets, the way he makes fighters fight his fight, I think he beats all at light heavyweight. Cruiserweight, yeah, they're bigger. If there was an Usyk there at cruiser, I'd say, nah, he doesn't beat all the cruisers. I don't know massively about the cruiserweight. It's not my number one division, but I haven't heard any massive killer names that would probably stop him. So he probably would go up. He's smaller, we know, but he's so much faster. Probably beats the cruiserweights too. Like, as I said, Briedis could lose Opetai, or he might not. The big African guy who was going to fight, he beats him. But in saying that, if there was an Usyk there, he doesn't beat him. If there's a Tony Bellew there, he beat that guy. He beat a Tony Bellew. So, he can do light heavyweight and cruiserweight. I don't hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
Hope he fights Benavidez or something, or Charlo. But I think, he can't go heavyweight. But another 2 divisions like he's doing now, light heavy cruiser, I think he can do.
Pete,
It doesn't say much for the cruiserweight division.
No.
But at the moment, he probably can.
Pete, there was talk that he's prepared to fight Usyk if it was at 201 pounds, which is 1 pound obviously over cruiserweight, which would make it heavyweight.
Wrong fight for him.
Yeah,
Wrong
but
fight.
even if that did happen, Pete, 1, do you think he could win at 201 pounds? But 2, does it water down the achievement that he's getting these guys to come down to 201 when heavyweight's an open division?
Look, it's Usyk could get the biggest payday of his career, obviously, to fight him. And when you look at it, I mean, Canelo's 5'8". He's a little bloke. So he's not. It's not fair. I mean, it's becoming a novelty act. He could just sit at super middle and make 100 defences. Yeah. That's his proper weight. He jumps up to light heavy to make things interesting. He can jump up to cruiserweight, makes things a bit more interesting. But cruiserweights, most of them are just blowing up light heavyweights or small heavyweights without much ability in that division as far as being pound stars. It's always been that way. So, I mean, he could possibly win a world heavyweight title. It'd have to be the right guy. But right at the moment, I mean, he doesn't get anywhere near them because they're all big and strong. You don't get a Johnny Ruiz where Roy Jones Jr. picked the right type of guy. There's no Johnny Ruiz available. Johnny Ruiz was available. Canelo would just box his ears off. It'd be a certainty.
Yeah.
I rate Canelo that good anyway. But look, to put him in with guys like Usyk, and I mean 201 pound, but the next day Usyk will be 210, 215, and what what will Canelo come in? Canelo will be like giving away 10, 15 kilos. It's
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
At least, yeah. Well, another thing for Canelo
Lyndon.
too. I did see that Beterbiev, I hope I pronounced that. I was fighting Joe Smith for the light heavyweight unification. So it's the
Good.
yeah. So maybe that's a fight for him down the
Beterbiev's a
track.
beast. Beterbiev's a beast.
So that's
Facing
on June
Canada.
I'm going to say this guy, guys. I reckon you'll agree with me. I think you might both agree with me. A guy that was all wrong, and I love Canelo. I'm a big fan. But a guy that was all wrong for him, if he was around, he doesn't get past super middleweight. Andre Ward would have fucking beat Canelo. Styles make fights, and he would have been Canelo's nightmare at super middle.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now.
Yep. But he's not around, so we'll never know.
No, but just tell me, agree or disagree?
I agree. I think if Mayweather made Canelo look like an amateur, I think Andre Ward would do the same, especially at the heavier weight.
Peter?
Andre Ward's my man. Andre Ward beats them all.
All right, speaking about...
Stop agreeing tonight, boys. There's no controversy. Do I have to go and do a show?
Andre Ward was I always used to say, if someone had a gun to my head and said, you've got to pick a fighter to fight for your life, I'd be picking Andre Ward.
Well, speaking of talking
Ward.
your mind, guys, let's get on to, and controversy, of course, let's get on to everybody's favourite segment. It is the Boxing Deep Dive Quiz with Tazzy Brown up against Pistol Pete Maniatis. Last week, Pete, you took the chocolates. You're the reigning champion. And although I know Tazzy's going to be keen to get that back, he's rehydrating himself there, ready to go. So we've got 10 questions, 9 questions plus the Who Am I? So the 5 Aussie questions first. And you guys know the rules that whoever gets in first, it's my decision who gets the call. If you get it wrong, the opposition, your opposing or your opponent gets a free hit at it. One thing is, if I'm after a name, I need the full name, not the last name or abbreviated name or nickname.
Thank you, Lyndon.
The full
I've
name.
topped that the most out of all of us.
Yes, the full name. All right, guys, let's get into it. The first question, the Aussie side of things. Who did Lester Ellis beat in his one IBF title defence?
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Rod Sequillan.
He did. Rod Sequenin was him. He beat him a few years later by first round knockout as well.
Mate, you love the
Can I
Lester
get-
Ellis questions, mate.
Can I get an extra point for picking the round?
Yeah, go right ahead.
No, he can't.
No extra points, but just tell us how smart you are. Let's go.
Round 13?
He did, 13th. Yep, and he almost had Lester out of there in the second round. He was saved by the
Mate,
bell
every
and
time
showed
you mention
tremendous
Lester
ticker.
Ellis's name, every time you mention Lester's name, full respect to him too, he's a legend. Mate, he's just giving Peter an answer because he's a Lester Ellis joker.
We all love Lester. All right, number 2.
He's from Victoria. He grew up with this stuff. I wasn't. Anyway,
You didn't know he beat Rod Sequenin? Come on, mate. I thought you knew boxing.
talk Jeff Fennick. That's my language.
All right, what Mexican great stopped Robbie Peden in 2002?
Tazzy.
Peter!
Yes, Tazzy.
Juan Manuel Marquez.
He certainly did in 2002. He did, and he lost to Barrera obviously a few years after that. I think 3 years after that. Number 3. This will test you guys. In what year was Lionel Rose's final fight? Three, 2, 1.
Peter.
Yes, Peter, have a crack at it.
$1977.
Close, 1976 was the correct response. He lost to Maurice Apiang, I think it's pronounced. 1-1. How many fights in total did Danny Green lose in his career?
Peter.
Tazzy. Three, 2,
4.
1. Incorrect. Peter, free hit.
5.
5 is correct. 5 is the answer. So 2-1 for Peter. Last one. This is a bit of a trick question. We'll see how we go. What was the result of the first Sam Solomon-Felix Sturm fight?
Tazzy.
Peter.
Yes, Tazzy.
A win for Sam Solomon, and then it was reversed due to a positive test by Sam.
That's correct. It was overturned to a no contest. So, yeah, they had to fight again later down the track, and obviously Sam Solomon, that's a good one, because I thought that might trip you up there, guys. So 2-2. All right, into the international questions. Here we go. Who took the world welterweight title from Lloyd Honeyghan?
Tazzy.
Tazzy?
Jorge Vaca.
Incorrect. Peter, free hit.
Donald Curry.
Incorrect. It was Marlon Magic Man Starling was his name. If you remember, Honeyghan beat Curry in the upset to win the
He
title,
beat Curry.
and Starling won the
Yeah,
title. He also
that's
knocked out Mark Breland as well to win the title. So really underrated fighter was Marlon Starling.
Yeah.
So still 2-2. Here we go. How many wins did Julio Cesar Chavez have before his first loss?
Tazzy.
Yes, Tazzy.
88.
Incorrect. Peter.
80.
Incorrect. 89 was the correct response, or correct answer. So that's still 2-2. All right. Who was the only fighter to beat Thomas Hearns twice?
Tazzy.
Peter.
Tazzy?
Iran Barkley.
He did. Iran Barkley, 1988. And then, I can't remember the second time. It was about 5 years later, I think it was.
92, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah, so 4
93.
years later. All right, 3-2. What fighter had the nickname Second Two?
Tazzy.
Peter.
Tazzy?
Michael Nunn.
He did. Michael
I didn't
Nunn.
even hear that one.
You didn't hear it?
No.
You put your hand up to answer it.
No, I said I didn't even hear Tazzy say his name. I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, no, he got in. He
I
got
heard
in
it
well and
first.
truly first. All right, who am I? I was born on January. This is one for you, Peter. I reckon. I was born on January the 2nd, 1969. I was introduced to fighting when I entered tough man contests as a teenager.
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Tommy Morrison.
Oh, that's correct. Tommy Morrison. Wasn't enough to get you the win, but that is I almost should give you an extra point for that, but I won't because Tazzy will.
Tazzy's back.
So
Tazzy's
that's a really
back.
good pick. You obviously knew the
Sure.
Morrison family, I suppose, didn't you? So you knew.
Peter's never gone 2 in a row. Never 2 in a row.
Well,
The second to none one, that was an interesting one. I thought I got it. I didn't hear Tazzy say a word.
yeah, no, he
But
definitely,
obviously,
yeah, he definitely got him first. But
Well done, Pete.
it was close again, Tazzy.
it was a really good.
Hey, it always is, mate, because you're one of the best, mate. We've got to take this round the world. Get a sponsor, Lyndon. Get a sponsor.
I think we need to.
Leave our wives and go around the world. 6 months.
I think what we need to do is put it out there to some of our audience. Say, do you think you could come on and actually have a crack at beating you guys?
Challenges, come on.
I strongly doubt it, by the way, because the questions that I'm asking are very, very tough. So,
Anyone can get it. Anyone. Me and Peter against anyone all day.
I think the main thing is, though, Pete, that as I said, I take my hat off to both of you guys because when I go through these, and obviously I know the answers, but some of these questions I think there's no way in hell they're going to get them, and you do. So, so credit to both of you.
You like the Sam Solomon one, didn't you?
I did.
The Sam Solomon one.
Yeah.
I knew the Sam Marquez one and second to none James
Second, Michael Nunn.
Michael Nunn. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy one in hindsight. It was pretty much who got to the buzzer first. But either way, always
Great show tonight.
always
Great
fought
show.
in great spirit,
Great show,
guys.
boys.
And Pete, the good news is you've only got 1 week to wait to have another crack at him. And
I'm going to Barbami tonight, Peter. Woo! Woo!
So is that 8-1? I think it is for the year.
Well done, Tazzy. Great win.
So 8-1. So it looks like Tazzy will get some sort of prize or donation in the year. What is it?
Didn't I win the first one, Lyndon?
It wasn't a book. It was a movie one. That was a movie night shit.
Well, I think no, it was still the quiz. So you're right, Pete. I am going to give it to you. Nah, come on, mate. A quiz is a quiz. Aussie movie.
He was asking how many horses in Brokeback Mountain.
Set 8-2, Pete. Come on, we got to look after.
He was asking how many times did Heath Ledger kiss a fucking bloke on the fucking mountain?
No, they're all legitimate questions. If you knew your boxing movies.
Questions.
All right. Well, at the end of the day, Tazzy's got the chocolates this week. Tazzy, look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at the fights. Pete, we'll see you next Thursday for the show, and plenty to talk about then.
See you, Newcastle. Peter, always a pleasure, mate. You're a legend.
Thanks, fellas.
I'm coming, Newcastle. Tazzy's coming home.